everyone. My name is Amused. I'm gonna show you a little bit about my work process, or like one way that you can create like your own avatar. It's maybe not like the cleanest way. It's a bit like I like to work with this more like glitches and 3D scans and things like that. So this is a little bit hard to show from the phone, and like the first step in this tutorial is to use the Polycam app. I'm gonna show you some screen recordings I did earlier today. So if you have downloaded the Polycam app, you just start it up. You have to create an account and log in, and directly, I think I go back here. So this is how it will look like, but I've already made some captures. But you go up to the little plus in the right corner to make a new capture. And it's pretty straightforward. You can choose from different modes. I don't have the LiDAR 3D scan thing on my phone, so I can just use the camera mode. But anyway, like the LiDAR thing is usually just better if you're gonna do like architectural 3D scans, like of rooms or buildings or things like that. So usually when you want to capture like people or small objects, you want to use the camera mode anyway. And there's two different modes as well. So you can use the camera, and it will like automatically take pictures when it senses that you're rotating around the object. Or you can also choose the manual, and you will have to take photos from every angle yourself. I usually use the auto because it's worked pretty good. So it's good to have like a good lighting where you're gonna do the scan, and obviously it's like good if you can have someone to do it on you, or do it if you're gonna do it on someone else, like so you two people it requires. This now I'm doing this one in my apartment, but if you have some place where there's like a little bit more space around, it's preferred. I usually do most of my scans out in the hallway in my apartment building, actually, because it's pretty big and has like good lighting, so you can move like freely around. But it's good to think about like having a good light in the face, and I usually start with the face so that you capture that, because it's hard to stand still for as long as you need when you're gonna capture it. So usually I go around and I see like close to the face, and now I haven't started. I think now there I started. So after you started the recording, the subject that you're capturing should not, or try to not blink or move your face, because then you will have glitches. Or maybe you'll do that and you can also play around with that, and it can turn out pretty fun or weird. But if you want to do like an accurate capture, you should try to be as still as you possibly can. So I usually go from like side to side and like above, and it's also like really important to get like the whole head around and above, and then you just circle around from the underside. I think here I did it a little fast. Like if I would have redone this, I would probably have gone like closer and like tilted the camera up under the nose too, to get like a better, because sometimes like what will happen is like it will smear out the nose, or like have it more flat than it actually is. So if you can do that, that's usually better. And I did this one quite fast just because I need it now for the workshop, but I will tell you like what you can do better. So here I'm also moving a little bit fast, but it will tell you that. And you can see that it's like automatically capturing images. So what I found worked out pretty good is to and here I'm also like being a little bit too close to the subject. It would have been better if I had been done this out in my hallway, so I could have more space and be like a little bit further away. But I'm just moving like around and then slowly lowering the camera all the way down to the ground, so you can get like um yeah, from all the angles. And then especially like important to get like up, like from down, so it understands like that perspective as well. So um let's see, I think I go back and do like a little bit further out. So this is like maybe the more preferred. If I could have like circled around from this length from the subject, it would be better. But yeah, after you do that, and it takes a little bit of like trial and error, and Astra is also there. I don't think like it's usually hard to capture animals because they move too much and they will just get masked out. But yeah, Polycam have like free captures, and you can easily earn more here. If you click here, you can so if you like upload some models, you will get more captures. In someone download your models, you get free captures. I figured out this like thing that I like told some of my friends like, hey, I've uploaded 5 models, can you download them? And when all of them did that, I earned quite a lot of free scans. So it's good way of like maximizing how long you can use this app for free. And I usually go with like the medium detail just because like most of the stuff I'm gonna put into games, or you can even go optimized if you want to have even better like optimized meshes. And if you're doing really small objects, like I usually don't use object masking for when I'm scanning humans, but like maybe if you use it for smaller details, you can put this on. And then you just press upload and process, and you will have to stay on this screen while it's doing this step. And after it's done, you have to wait a little bit for it to process. So that's why I have already done this step now, because it can take some minutes, so we don't have to sit and wait for the model. But when it gets to this processing screen, then you can just exit and do something else. And then after a while, you can check in. It depends on how many pictures you took, or I guess how complex the thing is as well. So when it's done again, you go in and you find your model. This is the one of me that we did yesterday out in my hallway. So you can see there's like a different surrounding. And then you go up to, I'm gonna pause so you can have time to see. I go up here and you click on the little download icon here. And then actually there's only one format that's free, like a mesh format that's free. The other ones you have to pay for. But this one, GLTF, and it's working pretty good. I still haven't paid for this app, so I don't have not been able to compare it, how it looks like with the other ones. But this is like the one you're using anyway. If you want to use the free one, you can just share it. I usually just send it to myself on Signal, but you can share it however you want. And then we're gonna go to the computer and do some real life or real time, I mean, editing now. So yeah, when we got on this far, open up Blender, and I go to import, and I select the GLTF format, and then we're gonna maneuver to wherever we save this one. So you just import that one into Blender, and it will usually come in like this, like a little bit on the wrong wrong edge, and yeah, and dark like this. It's usually dark like this because of the shading. So what I usually start by doing is just doing a left click, or right click, I mean, and then take shade smooth, and that will solve the shading issue with it. Is something with a normal map, I suppose. And we can start by just like I'm not gonna go through Blender super much right now, but you have this little navigation cross up here, so you can get like the orthographic views, and I find it like it's easier to adjust things, like trying to line it straight in this view rather than doing it in the 3D view. So I want to have it like standing here on on this step, and I try to also position it as much as I can, like in the center. Obviously, like this model of me is not gonna be um, completely symmetric, so that's one thing that you have to take into account. Like either I could, if I wanted to get like nitty picky and really wanted it to be symmetric, I could split it down in the middle and then just mirror it. But yeah, for this sake of this tutorial, it's not necessary. And then I can go and check how it looks like on this edge. Looks pretty good. And from the top, I think I can adjust this a little bit later too. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. So when we got in this part, we want to remove like all the excess polygons that's on the ground. Usually you would capture a lot of different things that's not you or that you don't want in the model. So if you have the model selected and you click tab, or you go up here in the left corner, you can choose edit mode. And I usually have this toggle X-ray on, so that it's marked blue, because it will make it easier. That means it will, so if I drag and select here, it will choose, oops, sorry. It will choose all the vertices on the back side as well. And if I have that off, it will choose only the ones that are viewable from that view you're looking at. So that's why it's good, like when you want to remove things, to have it so that you're selecting all the edges on the back as well. And then you can just go in and use select like this, and I press delete and delete vertices. And the same on the other side. Vertices. And yeah. I've already prepared a little bit on this model, so I'm not going to do it like super clean now, because we're going to switch to the other model that I prepared a little bit. This is for the sake, so we have time to go through all the steps. But you can be pretty nitpicky or not with this step and do it like however, like depending on like the purpose, like what you're gonna do with the model later. Are you gonna continue modeling it, or do you want it as it is, or yeah. So I'm gonna leave it at like this is good enough for now, because I'm gonna show you. But what you might want to do when you gotten this far, or like maybe I'll clean it up a little bit more actually, but just for the sake of this, is that you might want to close up the holes under the feet. And there's like a lot of different ways to do that. And as like I said, like I'm not gonna go into these steps super detailed right now. But obviously, you could do it like very nicely and neatly, or like just model it out, or see to that. The problem with this mesh is usually that the edge loops are not very clean, so it's like it's not so easy to like do a cap or something like that, because the edge loops are all over the place. But like a little bit like of ugly hack that I will do now is just that I will like select all the bottom ones on one, and I will do an extrude edges, and then I will right click and then just scale it to the middle like this, and I will press merge vertices at center, because it will like cap it. If you manage to take like all of the vertices there, and at least you will have like some kind of foot. It's not nicely, but you can also do like a remesh of this later, or you can also take some more time and actually like cap this hole properly. But I'm gonna let go of that now for now, because I've already prepared it a little bit better later. What you might also want to do is like fix certain, like, for instance, like I got here like a little defect or a bump on my head. Now it's not super important for me to fix this because I'm actually gonna add another mesh over this, so it won't be showing later. But if you want to fix this, for instance, an easy way to do that is just to have this proportional editing selected, and then you can just like if you start dragging in this point and you use your scroll wheel, you can decide how much area is going to be affected by this proportional thing, and you can just kind of like pat it down a little bit, hide it, or put a hat on it. I don't know. I feel like with these cheap 3D scan tools, you will have to accept that things are not going to be perfect and kind of use that as a designing purpose. Like you're not trying to capture something perfectly. More like you have to be creative with the glitches that arises somehow. But yeah, so the next step, because of this, how this mesh is made in Polycam, is actually not like a solid mesh, but it's like splitted up. So like there's a lot of like double vertices in this mesh. So another thing that's good to do early on is just go into edit mode again and then select or A for selecting everything. And then you go to merge. So you right click, merge vertices, and by distance, and that will merge all the vertices that are in the same position. So that when you see up here the triangles or the faces went down some. I think it's fine with just this like default settings here, but if you find that you still find double vertices somewhere when you start rigging and skinning it, you can go back to this step, but this is good to do before you start rigging it anyways. So when we've done that, we can bring out or start the whole rigging process. I'm gonna show this. Yeah, I can show this on this one for now. So then we will just press the Shift A for bringing up the add menu. You also have it up here if you don't want to use the short commands. And you will add an armature. And let's see where it shows up. Maybe it's just there. Maybe it's no bones in it from the beginning. That should be one bone. Why can't I see it? Ah, it's really big. Okay, so my model is very, very small. So we can start by setting like the location here. 0, 0, 0. And also I think I'm gonna just scale up my model a little bit before I start with this step. So take this one, and since I've been rotating it and moving it around, I'm just gonna go to it and do an object, apply all transforms, and that will like reset all the transformations, and also I would get the scaling point down here at the feet, so it's easier. So then I can just scale it up to like a little bit bigger, like that maybe, so it's more accurate to the bone size that I got here from the beginning. I will hide that sheet armature. I'm not gonna show you how to do like the whole process now because it's gonna take a long time, because it's like a lot of like you have to name all the, when you're doing like your own rigs like this, you have to name all the bones correctly. But you can find screenshots on most, depending on like if you want to upload it for some space, for instance. I think there's some documentation on how to name it for that, but I think any like the Mixamo rig naming system exactly. So oops. that was not the one I'm gonna move. It's this one. So you usually start, and also could be good when you're doing the armature to here on the this little tab, and you have the armature selected. You can check the in front, so you will always kind of see it in front of, and then also uncheck the X-ray mode, so it's like easier to see where you have it. So I'm gonna not care about naming everything correctly now, but usually you start with the hips, and then spine, chest. You have the whole in my pre-made rig here. I've named everything correctly. One thing that's worth mentioning that I had some problems with is that usually you would need, and I'm not sure if this is the case for some new as well, but you would need a head and then a head and bones. It actually needs two bones for the head in order to recognize it as an avatar in some platforms, for instance, Neos. But this is like the basic naming convention, and it's pretty easy to find anywhere. So yeah, so anyways, when you want to start adding bones, and what I think, like if you just want to do a completely normal like humanoid rig, it maybe makes more sense to use Mixamo if you just want to do it fast. The like what's good when you're doing your own rig in Blender is that you have more control over it, and you can add extra bones. For instance, I know some platforms like Somnium and VRChat, you add the dynamic bones in Unity normally, but for Neos, for instance, you can add them as normal bones in Blender, and then you just put on the dynamic physic bone thing inside of the game. So it's like a little bit different depending on what platform you're creating for. But also could be good if you like, for instance, you're not happy with how Mixamo rigged your avatar and you want to have like a specific way of rigging and skinning it. So it's nice. So yeah, so it's gonna be a quick recap of how to do um, an armature. So you go up here and you go into the edit mode. And when you're on the edit mode, you can move around this bone and decide how big they are. And if you want to extrude a new bone that's parented to this bone, you will press E, and then you can just drag it out. And usually I press E and then I right click so that it resets back to the original position, and then I can choose to just drag it like, because I don't want to maybe drag it in the x-axis, I just want to affect the y-axis. And so then I just start dragging them out like this. I will have this hip, spine, chest, neck, and then two head bones. So like this, and obviously you can add more. I'm not gonna go into, because I'm not gonna do any like face more features, but you can add eyes or like whatever you want. But this is like the basic, and then I can just check it from the side, and like maybe I want to adjust this a little bit. I want to move these ones like a little bit more to the front, like this maybe. I don't know, it depends. And let's say I want to have the hip. I don't know, it's hard to tell how I'm actually standing with my spine because I have this big jacket on. But yeah, it can be pretty free how you want to do it like that. And now I want to add like the rest of the bones. So I could either just continue dragging it out from this one, but sometimes I want to have like a bone that's a little bit offset, and then I can just create a new bone. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention also, like now when we do want to do the arms and things like that, we also have this like the mirror. And then when I want to like adjust them, I could press this one, and I will have both of the sides. Uh, exactly. So then I just continue adding the shoulder, the arm, and the hand. I'm not gonna do the fingers now because, as you can see, they're pretty much connected, and I have the other rig that I'm gonna show on later, anyways. But yeah, exactly as Ruth said. Like when I'm done this step, I can just choose them. Shift D for duplicate, and then right click, and it will get into the same position. And then I just go here and, or no, which one is it like? Oh, mirror. And which one will it be? Instead, right? No. Mirror X, yes. So yeah, this is just, and since this model anyways isn't symmetrical, I'm not gonna be too picky about this, but obviously you can see to it that you have like the, instead of having this on local, you could have choose, for instance, the cruiser and then place the cruiser in Origo, and that will have made the mirror exactly mirrored. But since this model is not symmetrical anyways, I'm not gonna care about that. I'm just gonna get like a pretty good rig. We'll see, and maybe we'll have time to do the last step. But yeah, so this is like, I think I'm gonna jump forward because I wanted to just go through the skinning process again, and I'm already prepared like a finished rig for this purpose. So we can let's see, hide this one for now, and now we have, this is the proper one. Oh, it's actually, oh yeah, I'm gonna also hide this mesh, and we can use, let's see, this mesh instead that I already prepared a little bit better. Well, I didn't fix the bump on the head on this one though, but I like cleaned up the shoes a little bit better at least. So yeah, let's see. Okay, no. And now this one is already parented, so I'm just gonna clear that. So what you do, and hopefully I do this right now, because this is also like a step that I'm always confused. Like, do you choose the child or the parent first? But I think you choose the child first and then the parent, or is it the other way around? Well, we'll see. And then, well, we'll see. And then you take parent with automatic weights. We'll see. Yeah. Oh, no, that was the other way around. Sorry. Okay, so then you choose the child and then the parent, and then you take with automatic weights. Yeah, I think this, yes. So now, now the skeleton or the armature is the parent to this one. And usually, if you just want to do like um a quick rig, this works, and you can go into weight paint when you have. I'll see. I think you do like the same way. You have both selected like this, and then you do weight paint, and then you can choose the different bones, and you will see how it's weight painted, and you can go in and adjust it with the paintbrush here and choose if you want like more this one, maybe I want to affect more of this one, and I can go in and manually paint it on, or remove it, or however I want. Like for instance, like maybe something that usually happens is that like the neck and the head is kind of like weirdly done. So maybe I want this one to actually have more control over the actual face, and I can do like this and just paint it. Like I just want this one bone to be the one in charge of all of this, so like the head doesn't morph that much. So yeah, that's like the one good thing with doing your rig yourself, that you have like a bigger influence over these things. And when I'm happy with it, and I can also go to, if I choose only this skeleton, I will go to pose mode and can check out how my mesh is moving, if it's looking very good or not, or if something is weird and not like maybe following as I want. Like maybe I would want to spend more time here on the shoulder so it doesn't deform like this. Oops. And then you can spend all the time doing that. But I'm gonna just show you like a little bit quick, like what you can add or do also. So like now I have my basic mesh, and so what I did now just to spice this one up a little bit, and you can do whatever you want. So I just added like I like to do. Let's see. This I'm not gonna go through this now because I won't have time, but I'm gonna show it just really quickly. So I made this geometry curve, quite basic thing, and uh, this could be like a whole tutorial in itself, I guess. But it's just a basic geometry curve that's placed on this one, and then here I have the curve uh, element of it. So if I go into this one and edit, and on surface, for instance, I could just, for instance, paint out geometry on my avatar and create pretty cool like shapes and like added things. I really like to do this type of things, like add some kind of like splatter or armor. Um, you can go back to object mode and then go to the geometry itself and add, if I want this to be symmetrical, I could add a mirror onto this one and also see to it that it's in the right, yeah, like that. And then when I'm happy with this result, I can just collapse it by applying it from the top. And then I will have like a mesh, and then I don't need this curve in the geometry curve anymore. Then I will have this mesh, and I can skin it to my armature in the same way as I would with the 3D scanned mesh as well. So I already prepared like another one that I did before. Let's see. This is the final result. I have 3 minutes left of the workshop, so this is the like the final edit I did of this avatar that I have today. And for instance, then I could add also like little bones for these things that sticks out. We could go into do like more texture painting on the model as well, but I think it will be made a little bit tight on time to do that. We'll see if we have time for that. Um, yeah, it's so fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really fun. Like to just play around with it, and you can do all these like organic shapes. And I really like this like paint on surface thing because then you can just like build upon it and continue with that. But yeah, so geometry nodes is you create like any type of geometry, like a cube or whatever you want. Um, So it has to be like a mesh. And then you, I can maybe do it quickly from the beginning. We'll see if it works. You just create a plane or a mesh or whatever, something like a container. And then you add the geometry node there, and you click a new one. And here is what you can do this output that I've been doing here now. I'm just gonna go back to it. I can show you. Uh, so basically I just like removed the group, like the original input, and then I, instead of like this, I will choose the object info and I will create a curve object. So this is this that I have here. It's just like a normal Berserker curve, like this. And so if I go back to this one, or this one that I have there, I choose the curve, and then you have all these different steps, and this you can do pretty much. But what you need to do is like have resample curve, set curve radius, and you need to have a curve to mesh. That's like the basic things. And here I also put in like a float curve just because I wanted to have it like a custom radius profile, but it's not necessarily really. And then I put in a set material as well because I wanted to have a material on it, but this is also not necessarily for just if you just want the mesh. And you connect it to the group output. And so if we can take this and redo it in the other one. Just gonna copy it and go to this one. And we'll see what's most important is that. So here, instead of having this one, I'm gonna choose the new Bezier curve that we made. I should have named it something fitting so it's easy to find. There, Bezier curve. We can have the trim curve, and all this is all fine. Then we connect it to the geometry output. And then I have to select the curve to be able to modify it. So, and then I can just go into edit and I can draw like whatever I want, and it will create a geometry there after that. So it's very fun to play around with. So you have up here in the left corner, you have surface or cruiser. And if you have surface on, it will try to pick like the closest surface. And if you put cruiser, it will kind of be like in a more like a straight plane for like where you start. It's a little bit unpredictable where it will end up being. You can also go like if you want something that's more like I want something that goes out from my hand straight backwards like this, and then I could just move it to wherever I want to have it. One important thing to remember then after, because I also like been stuck with this a lot, is that when you want to collapse it to a normal mesh, you go to your to the plane, and it's where you have your geometry node, and you have to make sure that it's not set as an instance, because if it is and you try to apply it, the mesh will disappear. I don't know exactly why, but if you have it unticked and you apply the geometry nodes, then you will have it as a mesh. You're no longer able to change it anymore. So it's good to maybe make a copy or save a copy before collapsing it. So yeah, thank you for joining me. Well, next time we're gonna go through, probably cover a little bit more how with the texture paint thing in Blender, and then we're gonna do a little bit about like beauty render of our avatar. For we can go more into details in the next part of this one, because we'll have more time. It would be really fun to see what everybody like would do with this, like as well as like the earlier workshops. I think it would be really fun to see everybody's vroids. I have made a vroid that I'm gonna put in as well.